you want to lose weight in the new year, you have to be smart and safe about it. Here is registered dietitian Mary Dye. Mary, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Dave.
It's our pleasure. All right, so much to cover, such an important topic. First, though, tell us about where you work, the Oliver-Pyatt Centers.
Yeah, so I work at the Oliver-Pyatt Centers, and we are a treatment center for women with eating disorder and compulsive exercise addiction. So we are Joint Commission accredited, and we treat the full spectrum of eating disorders. We have multiple levels of care. We have adult residential and adolescent residential. We take as young as 13. And we also do intensive outpatient transitional living programs as well.
So you just mentioned as young as 13. So girls, and probably boys too, I would imagine, this young are suffering from eating disorders.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're seeing, kids starting to diet. There's numbers out on kids as young as 9 years old really doing a lot of dieting.
Man, all right, so tell us, give us all the eating disorders first.
So we have anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder, eating disorders not otherwise specified, so that can have a lot of different facets, and then we also have compulsive exercising.
Which is what it sounds like?
Yeah, an actual addiction to exercising,
right.
An ability to move away from that.
All right, well the reason why it's good to have you here this time of year is because we're in late January and so many resolutions are I want to lose weight, right?
Definitely.
As people are setting out to do that, there are healthy ways to do that and there are unhealthy ways to do that,
yep.
Right? Give us some unhealthy ways, give us some healthy ways to do that.
So I'm going to say the unhealthy ways that we see all the time are cutting out a food group or a type of food. I think one thing we hear all the time is I'm cutting out gluten, I'm cutting out carbohydrates, I'm cutting out fat. Those are big ones. Those are things that our body needs. So we cut them out and problems, so we want them. Looking for fast weight loss is also really detrimental. We see people losing weight very rapidly, really frightens the body. The body gets very self-protective and goes searching for calories and actually gets more prone to hanging on to them over time.
Right, you were telling me earlier that if you lose weight really fast, the end result oftentimes is that you put on more than you even started with, right?
Absolutely. So it's something we call weight cycling, a person kind of yo-yoing up and down in their body weight, and what we find is the end result is often a higher weight than the person started with, and this is because they'll cut in kind of extreme measures where it's really drastically cutting down calories or quantities of food, and it sends our body into really a starved state. So, the outcome might be, binging for some people. For some people, it'll just be, really going back to eating in a more normalized way. However, as a result of the extreme restriction, their metabolism is really compromised. So they're ultimately burning less energy, and their body was so starved that now it's actually looking to hang on to anything that it eats, so it starts to go up.
How demoralizing, because you think that you're doing, you think like you're putting in all this effort, you're struggling, but it's going to be for a great cause, and then whenever, a few weeks, a few months later, you look sort of worse than you did earlier.
Yeah. Well, it's a big problem, and with the rapid weight loss, we also see depletion of muscle mass because your body starts to break down muscle with this, and so that makes it even harder to maintain a normalized body weight. So
but on the flip side, there are positive ways, there are correct ways to take off some weight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just really thinking about finding your body's natural set point with weight. And our bodies all have a place where they function optimally and where they really want to be. And kind of going outside of that is really fighting our bodies. So I always like to ask people to really try to get in touch with themselves and their body's needs and take the time to figure out, what does your hunger feel like? What does your fullness feel like? What are comfortable levels within that where you can nourish your body and not underdo it or overdo it? Because our body is really the great equalizer. It knows exactly how much energy it needs, how much it's putting out, and it sends us these cues through hunger and fullness for us to really understand them. So I always tell people the really healthy way to go about, weight control is to get to know how their body communicates with them about what the needs are.
It's so interesting because, we've talked about this before, and we've had MDs on, and we've had nutritionists on, and you're a registered dietitian, and different people have told me different things, but it sounds like you're saying, you're not saying don't stop eating carbs. You're not saying don't stop eating sugar. You're saying everything in moderation, I guess, right?
Absolutely. So everything in moderation is such a great way to look at it because then your body's not going to feel deprived. If we think of basic human psychology, if I tell you, you can't eat pizza, then that's going to be really problematic. Your
I
brain is
just
off,
cried.
right?
I just shed a tear when you said
You
that.
just
actually,
really
yeah.
started wanting
Yes.
pizza. You'll probably have to have it today.
I'm having 3 slices when we're finished. Thank you. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about it too.
Good. We'll go for pizza.
Yeah,
Good.
so it's like
done.
if you tell yourself you can't have something, it's just it's like telling a little kid they can't play with a certain toy. That's going to be the thing that you're really, really wanting. So what we do, when we think of dieting, or whether it's cutting out, I can't have this particular food, or I can't go above this number of calories or points or whatever it is a person's quantifying, you're automatically setting a part of your brain to want to rebel against that.
Right.
So really what I really am promoting is really having, taking account of everything that you're craving. What are you interested in? What are you desiring? What really sparks your senses? Because those are the things that your body's asking you for. And a lot of people get very nervous about that. Like if I tell you, please go and have pizza, they might look at me and go, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to eat a lot of pizza, and that's not going to be okay. But in reality, if you're really listening to your body and you give yourself the pizza without deprivation, then you're going to find that you eat really appropriate amounts, and it has no real emotional attachment for you. It's just pizza.
And eat slower, right? Because your body will be full before you realize it's full. I'd heard that.
They always talk about 20 minutes.
Right.
That it's exactly 20 minutes, but it does take a little time for your brain to really know where your stomach is at. So I think it's really important to just pay attention in the whole act of eating, before, during, and after. So part of that is slowing down, appreciating, being mindful, so really turning off external stimulators. So, turn the music down a little lower. Don't eat in front of the television unless you're really, really having to.
Unless you're watching this show.
Unless
you're watching us. Yeah, then you're allowed. Yeah. Right.
But, trying to tune out that other stuff so that you can really take the time to focus on what are the cues my body's sending me, how is this food, and how am I tasting it, how's my body responding to it, just taking the time to do that.
We only have about a minute left, but I want to ask you, for parents, if they think their child might have an eating disorder, just give me a couple of things parents should look for.
I want us to just take this time to say the importance of a family meal is so incredibly important, because one of the big signs that we see is a person starting to isolate around food. So if you, let's say you're having a meal together at the table and your child is really not joining you at the table, eating in their room, eating in secret, always saying that they've already eaten, that's a really big sign to look for. The isolation really starts to happen. If the child is, starting to say really negative things about their body, or asking you to kind of be a short order cook, maybe like making things very differently, leave this out of mine, leave that out of mine, those can really be things to look for. So I would say try to engage them around the table, engage them in cooking, so that you can get some eyes on kind of what's going on. But those are big flags that we see. Also, if you're kind of hearing them talk about their peer group, or just kind of noticing their behaviors change, or the way that their eating changes when friends might be over, that's big.
So Mary, if people want to ask you questions or reach the Oliver-Pyatt Centers, how can they do that?
So they can find us on the website. It's Oliver-Pyatt-Centers.com, or they can give us a call at 1-866-511-4325.
Thank you so much. Great to see you, and have a great new year.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Enjoy your pizza.